Biology role model. Professor John Richard Hodges grew up a noble, modest, intellectually gifted young man with a fervent passion for the medical sciences. Hailing from England, Hodges originally obtained his qualification of medicine from London University in 1975, graduating with honors and commitment to his studies. After subsequently undergoing training periods in psychiatric and neurological disciplines in Southampton, Oxford, and San Diego, he eventually procured his medical doctor status in 1988. It was throughout these intensive experimental periods that he developed an infatuation for neuropsychology. In the year 1990, Hodges inherited the position of university lecturer in Cambridge and later became recognized as MRC Professor of Behavior Neurology. Like many individuals in the medical fields who yield highly taxing day-to-day lives, Hodges sought a reprieve in the form of a sabbatical in 2002. At this point in his career, he began to crave the idea of venturing outside his comfort zone, both professionally and environmentally. After enduring a few more years in Cambridge, Hodges elected to uproot his life in 2007, moving to Sydney, Australia, where he began to construct a multidisciplinary research group with a primary focus on frontotemporal dementia. While his work requires a profound amount of rigorous research and enormous delegation, John finds a way to negotiate time for the more personal, leisurely realm of his life as well. From a young age, he had a predilection for the sea and surf, hobbies that were at the forefront of his decision to transform his life with the move to Sydney. When he's not actively working to advance neuroscience postulates and diagnostic criteria, Hodges can also be found communing with nature and embracing the outdoors. On the most cursory level, my adoration for Hodges encompasses his field of expertise, neurology. With more specificity, I am particularly entranced by the scope and outlook of neurodegenerative disorders, potential pathways to expand our collective knowledge base surrounding them, and the hyperdynamic nature of their diagnostic criteria. John is representative of who I wish to become, an individual who allowed no obstacle to shift him from the course of pursuing his passions. Operating within the biological subdivision of neuroscience, Dr. Hodges acts as a professor and co-director of the Frontotemporal Dementia Research Group. While a point of emphasis littered throughout his research methodology demands the assembly of a diverse group of researchers, John himself has centralized his focus on improving the accessibility of research breakthroughs to those in clinical settings. One of his most heralded contributions to the neuroscience sphere came in the form of his book, Cognitive Advancement for Clinicians, originally published in 1994. At this point, the clinicians and non-clinicians in neuroscience were operating ironically like compromised brain hemispheres, with a lack of established clarity as far as how advances in the lab could be universally applied in the operating room. Hodges bridged that metaphorical gap, proposing critical genetic risk factors for neurological disorders as well as a copious amount of never-before-implemented therapeutic techniques. Needless to say, his contributions have been monumental. Hodges appears as an author of a paper titled Potential Genetic Modifiers of Disease Risk in Age at Onset Patients with Frontotemporal Lobar Degeneration and GRN Mutations, a genome-wide association study. The article itself aimed to provide a roadmap for genetic treatment and clinical trials in patients experiencing a rapid degeneration of the fronto and temporal lobes of their brain. The study was strategically organized into a discovery, replication, and meta-analysis stage. The figure attached contains data generated throughout the discovery process. Manhattan plots, as shown, were created by plotting the position of variations in singular nucleotides on the x-axis and their corresponding negative logarithm of their p-values on the y-axis. Groups with statistically significant p-values will ascend to form the skyline-esque image. After procuring DNA samples from symptomatic patients and healthy controls, the research team conducted case control and age at onset analyses, identifying a considerable association between the disease and genetic variants on chromosome 17. Hodges has operated as a quintessential scientist throughout his professional career, turning ambiguities and neurological defects into recognizable patterns that cement the interconnection of the brain more so than what we had ever remotely conceived. His successful indoctrination of clinicians enables swift diagnoses, the use of novel treatments, and ultimately the embellishment of many lives. Moving forward, Hodges wishes to continue dismantling the once impenetrable barriers to entry within the neuroscience community, aggregating our understanding of the human body's most complex system. Professor John Richard Hodges is a world-renowned neuroscience clinician whose work over multiple decades has revolutionized the way in which we diagnose and treat neurodegenerative disorders. A humble outdoorsman incapable of succumbing to any form of adversity, Hodges is a symbol of hope. Hope for those unnerved at the prospect of pursuing high-level education, hope for those afflicted with a sinister neurological disease, and hope for the scientific community as a whole. My name is Mitchell Smith, and that was a dive into the life and work of my role model in biology. Whether you gained a sense of awe, inspiration, or even a mere tinge of knowledge, I thank you sincerely for watching.